The Mendon-Honeoye Falls-Lima Sentinel welcomes you to this edition of the Mayor's and Supervisors Weekly Update, brought to you by...
Each week, our community makes history. Each week, you make history. And each week, there's only one source to turn to for the first take on history. You know what that is? Subscribe to the Sentinel right now to discover the history being made in your own backyard.
The Mendon-Honeoye Falls-Lima Sentinel. More than just your news, it's your history.
Hey, welcome everyone to this week's edition of the Mayor's and Supervisors Update. I'm Chris Carosa, publisher of the Mendon-Honeoye Falls-Lima Sentinel, and each week we bring you the goings-on in the towns and villages that we cover. This week we'll be starting with John Moffett, supervisor of Mendon. John, what's going on in Mendon this week?
Well, we're enjoying some pretty good weather right now. Let's hope it stays with us for a little while. The spray, speaking of good weather, the spray park, we're seeing, we're getting closer and closer. We are in the process of having the new septic system put in, which we had some delays there, but we are moving forward on that, as well as waiting for National Grid to hook us up. So we're progressing. Hopefully it doesn't get too warm until we get a chance to turn on that spray park. Military Memorial is very close to being finished. There will be a dedication, most likely in June. We are not announcing a date at this point. We want to make sure that everything's done before we announce a specific date. There is a special town board meeting on April 24th. That's 7 o'clock at the Community Center at 167 North Main Street in Honeoye Falls. That is going to be regarding short-term rentals and bed and breakfast. There's 2 new laws for our residents to consider. Those laws are on the town's website. If you have interest, you can come to the meeting, express your opinion, send me an email. It'll be entered into the record, or you can join in on Zoom. The Mendon Highway Department will begin brush pickup on Monday, April 24th. Once again, I've announced this before, but I just want to remind folks they'll start on the east side of the town and work west. This is for the town outside the village. And if you want to bring your brush to the highway department, you can do that during regular business hours, subject to the rules that are on the town's website. And let's see, there's a burn ban in New York State until May 14th. Unfortunately, we've had a couple of serious house fires over the last couple of months. Just want to remind everybody that there is a burn ban in effect. Also, the late fee for summer rec goes into effect June 1st. So if you're interested in summer rec, I know time goes by rather quickly this time of year. Be sure and sign up for summer rec. It's a great program. My frequently asked question at town hall today is regarding dog control. Town of Mendon provides dog control. We do not provide animal control. We get a lot of calls about animal control. We do not provide that. Some of the larger towns, especially ones closer to the city of Rochester, do. We have dog control. So if there is a dog issue, feel free to call the town of Mendon. If your dog is not properly licensed, please do so. Our main objective with dogs is to get them back to the owner and get them back safely. We are not huge on making this an enforcement thing. We just want to get the dog back to the owner. And so that wraps it up for me. Thank you.
All right, John, before you go, can you just briefly explain the difference between dog control and animal control?
Well, I'm not that well versed on what some of the other towns consider animal. I know they have animal control and have maybe if Steve Schultz was on, maybe he could tell us, because I believe they have animal control. But I think they deal with all different kinds of animals. There's Steve, right on cue. I think they probably deal with all types of animals, where we just deal with dogs. And given our rural nature and proximity to Mendon Ponds Park, animal control would probably increase our budget quite significantly.
Yeah, so animal control will also deal with, wild animals being where they shouldn't. It potentially also deals with rabid animals, although again, Department of Health will often deal with that. It's, it's one of the things. So interestingly enough, dog control officers, that comes under ag and markets law. Animal control officers actually comes under health law. So they're really under the Department of Health. One of the things that the Monroe County Supervisors Associations that we're looking at is, what of these services would make more sense to consolidate at the county level instead of pushing out to the towns. In terms of the collection of the licensing and all that stuff, it does make sense to do it at the towns because it's easier for the residents. But, one of the things that happened during COVID is a lot of the animal shelters that towns used to use to house their strays, they've closed down. So a lot of towns have been running into issues on how they deal with that. And so like I said, it's been a problem, and we as a group of supervisors have been looking at that as to how to address that and see if we can get the county to help out. So.
All right, thanks, Steve. That motion wasn't for you. That was for, I'm in an open area and there's some noise and I wanted to quiet people down. So I
No
apologize.
problem.
It looked like I was saying that to you.
No problem.
Okay, Mike, tell us what's going on in the town of Lima and Livingston County.
Hello, Chris. Thanks for having us again. First off, congratulations to Catlin Blodgett, Wyatt Huff, and Sydney Proctor. They are Lima's recipients of the 2023 Livingston County Teen Recognition Awards. They will be honored at the Teen Recognition Awards banquet on April 26th. Congratulations also to Pat and Rose Reynolds. They have been named as Lima's Senior Citizens of the Year, and they will be honored at the Seniorama on May 6th. Our Memorial Day parade, not too late to throw that into your calendar. It is coming. So Monday, May 29th, parade starts at 9:30 in Lima, followed by ceremonies at the town hall. Afterwards, the fire department will be serving hot dogs, and then there will be a luncheon at 12:30 at Francis M. Dalton American Legion Post. The town of Lima is the recipient of a grant award from the Climate Smart Communities for $13,720 to add 4 level 2 charging ports to the township for charging electric vehicles. The New York Farm Bureau has asked people to sign on to a letter to oppose the neonic ban. The neonic ban is a ban on seed coatings here in New York State, which most of our farmers use coated seed to plant their fields because it makes it immune to rotting if there's a lot of extra rain and some of those other things. Allows them to plant in the winter when there's still snow and the pneumatic planters can actually drill the seeds down into the ground. A couple of legislators from Queens have sponsored this no coatings legislation. And if it does pass, it's going to make a huge, huge difference for all of our farmers in the area. And lastly, we are having some changes at the Lima Town Court. Court is going to be the first Monday of each month at 9 a.m. and the third Monday of each month at 8 a.m. Slight shift in times and such. But until further notice, that is when court is going to be held. And that's all I've got, Chris.
All right, thanks, Mike. Rick, over to you, the village of Honeoye Falls in Monroe County.
Well, thanks again, Chris. It's great to see everyone. Sometimes I think as we're going through some of these things, John and I might actually talk once in a while because we talk about some of the same things. This isn't pre-planned all the time. We're just on some of the same subjects, I think. But the village of Honeoye Falls, we're fully into our warm weather and spring summer project mode. Our DPW team members have been out changing some of our weathered flags around the community as we do each year. Our U.S. flags, as well as the flags at the Veterans Memorial, are very important, and we strive to keep them in pristine condition. We have noticed, as we do each year, many more active walkers, joggers, and bicyclists around the village as this weather continues to get better. We also notice people driving maybe a bit faster with the music turned up, enjoying the weather, again, as they do each and every year. And this is, it's certainly expected and a bit natural, but we implore our residents and those passing through the community to pay attention to their surroundings. We do not want to see a tragic accident occur due to drivers not paying attention. And it's also very important to remind the bicyclists, the joggers, the walkers to pay attention to your surroundings and make sure you too are following the traffic signals, signage, etc. It works both ways. We've got to work together to promote safety throughout the village and our surrounding communities. As both a village mayor and a county legislator, as I do each year, I will be reaching out to our local Monroe County Sheriff's Department, New York State Police partners, asking them to support our desire and our goals to keep the traffic speeds in check. And that also goes for the large trucks that increase each summer through our village. It's important for our residents to remember that our village is crossed by both state and county roads. And while we may wish that the large truck traffic would find other routes around the village, that's generally not going to occur. Route 65, East Street, West Main are all main truck routes leaving the stone quarries and heading to the north and the east for the multitude of projects that begin each year this time of year. That is not to say that we can't work to slow the trucks down, minimize the use of the loud Jake brakes, and encourage alternate routes. However, that also just simply pushes our concerns onto our neighboring communities, which isn't fair. So we just continue to work towards improvements. As a reminder, and this is something John had brought up as well, the DPW does pick up brush within the village throughout this spring and summer times. We do not pick up grass clippings, but grass clippings can be properly packaged into biodegradable bags and brought down to the wastewater treatment plant to put in the mulching pile during regular business hours. Tree trimmings, branches, shrub trimmings will be picked up weekly, and we suggest that people visit the village website, www.villageofhoneoyefalls.org, to review the full policy. The village also has a great program in place that allows village residents to request a village truck be parked at their home if the resident is working on a large cleanup project over the weekend. You can then load the truck up with all your trimmings yourself, and we'll pick the truck back up on the Monday morning. This program is also detailed on our website. Lastly, for the village, I want to thank our Honeoye Falls and Mendon Fire Departments, as well as the Honeoye Falls Mendon Ambulance Departments for their responses lately to a series of fires and stressful calls. Your dedication is very much appreciated. From a county perspective, we continue to review many projects that are implemented throughout the county. And getting back onto some of this road discussion, Monroe County DOT prioritizes road projects based upon their assessment of the road conditions throughout the county. They also garner a lot of input from the municipalities and specifically our municipal highway superintendents. The goal is always to improve road conditions and enhance safety. The projects are not considered lightly. They are fully vetted by dedicated engineers and road construction professionals. While we may not always understand the rationale on the projects, including timing, roadside or enhancements made, it's always with safety and road upkeep in mind. So it's important that our residents understand that. We do get some complaints when people think their roads are being widened or we're enhancing the sides of the roads. It's really for upkeep and safety. So we need to keep that in mind, and a lot goes into these projects. Chris, thanks very much. I appreciate the time.
Okay, thanks. I was muted myself there. Steve, over to you. And what's going on in Henrietta?
So we formally inducted the 47th Annual Youth Hall of Fame, the Henrietta Youth Hall of Fame. 26 new inductees, bringing the total to 946 inductees over those 47 years. Their names and faces were included in the town newsletter. Their pictures will be up on plaques going up in town hall. Last year's recipients will come down and we'll provide those pictures to the families of the previous recipients. So, it's an amazing run, thing that we do in the town. And just so glad to see it continue. It was a little challenging during COVID with regards to the celebration dinner, which this year will be, let's check, April 23rd, sorry, April 23rd will be the induction dinner. So looking forward to that. It's like I said, it's really, one of the best jobs as town supervisor. I can't necessarily speak for the other, but I'm sure they will agree, is when you get to do the resolutions, recognizing Eagle Scouts, Gold Star recipients, Youth Hall of Fame, stuff like that. It really, it's really amazing to see some of the things that these kids have accomplished at such a young age, and just really excited to see where they're going in the future. We just had our meeting for our planning of our Memorial Day parade, which is May 21st, 1 o'clock. One of the challenges is going to be, it's also the start of the PGA. So we are competing with the PGA with regards for sheriffs and or law enforcement to help shut down the streets. So but fortunately we have a really good relationship with the B zone folks, and we think we'll be able to get some done. We'll probably be supplementing some of that with some of our more veteran highway guys to help control the traffic at the major intersections. The town board approved the purchase of the Riverton Golf Course. So the course itself, the 9 holes, has always been a municipal golf course, but the clubhouse was owned privately. It was run by a family for many, many years. The son has took it over some time back. He's now retiring. He doesn't have anyone who wants to take it on. So we've been in discussion. The town board felt it was extremely important to keep this going for the community. And so we are going to be acquiring the golf course. There was some, I'll say, challenges in terms of the guy wanted to keep negotiating prices, but I pointed out to him, by law, we can't pay greater than fair market value. So you can negotiate all you want unless you have some appraisal showing it's worth that much. We can't pay it. So he finally understood that and decided, you know what, the little extra profit, he wants to see his family's legacy continue. He wants to see the golf course continue. So we did get to an agreement, and hopefully I'll be getting a signature on a sales offer later today or tomorrow. We also have an agreement that will allow our crews to get in there ahead of time before closing, so we can start working to get the golf course open. Our goal is to have it open early May. Our original targets was May 1st. That's going to be tight, but we're going to try. So both excited and nervous, I guess I'll say cautiously optimistic about operating a golf course. One of the things we're going to have to do is figure out how we're going to handle the food service, although I've already been approached by 2 of the restaurants in town who said they might be interested in potentially operating that for us. So that'll be great. We completed some of the, I call them bookkeeping resolutions, so that we now will receive the Climate Smart Community Bronze certification. So that's been a lot of work on the part of our sustainability committee which also large overlap with the Color Henrietta Green grassroots organization. So they've done a lot of work in that regards, and the town has put in a lot of effort to achieve that certification. We opened bids for our new sport courts in Veterans Memorial Park. The highway department has pulled up the old pavement, which was in really bad shape. And we decided to expand it. It used to be 2 basketball courts and 2 tennis courts. It's now going to have 2 full-size basketball courts, 2 tennis courts that will also be striped for pickleball, and then 4 additional pickleball courts. And so the highway department's done a really good job in terms of getting that site all prepared. We've also fixed some of the drainage problems in the area, put in a new sidewalk that connects the courts directly to the nearby restrooms, fixed the parking lots spaces that would for people for parking that area. So very excited about that project. Pavement should go in 1 to 2 weeks, and then the folks should come in right after that, seal it, paint it, put in the equipment, put in the fencing, and eventually we're going to install lights. As part of our streetlight LED conversion project, we included upgrading all of our town park lights to LED fixtures, including improving a bunch of them. A lot of the sports lighting in our park was insufficient, so we're going to address that, and as part of that, we'll be lighting these new courts. And then finally, the foundations are being poured on the new town court, so it's great to see that progress. We had our first construction meeting with all of the contractors who won the other bid packages, so like the general contractor, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, those folks. So that's moving forward, and seems like every year, in fact, we were just joking about that I've got a major construction project going on, but that's just, we were deficient in some of our facilities. So hopefully we'll be able to keep upgrading. One of the ones that we really need to do is the east side of Town Hall. This is a very old building, and it seems like it's either way too hot, way too cold. There are a lot of issues, especially from an ADA standpoint, that we would love to clean up. So the town court, I'm sure, will not be my last major building project. But the good news is we've been able to do it. We've been able to obtain some grants. We were able to use the ARPA funding. So like the court, we're not even going to have to go out to bond, which is key, because anytime you go out to bond, it increases the ultimate cost to the taxpayer. So to be able to pay for it, it's largely with ARPA funds and with the sales tax revenues. As fortunately in Monroe County, they share the sales tax revenues with the town, and since they started collecting the sales tax on the internet purchases, the sales tax numbers have been through the roof. So people talk about, oh, it's a tough economy. You sure can't tell that from the sales tax revenues. And that's the large reason why we've been able to hold our tax levy flat while, our budget has continued to go up, and it's because of sales tax revenues. So it's, like I said, it's my director sometimes complains because I keep him busy, but I tell him, hey, at least you're not bored. So a lot of good stuff going on. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Anybody remember something that they forgot to say? Seeing none. Thank you guys for being here today. Thank you all for watching. Remember, we air this every Sunday at 1 o'clock. Just like our Facebook page, or follow or subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you'll be notified when the airing begins. That's all for this week. We'll see everybody else next week. Bye-bye for now.
Thanks. Bye.
Imagine yourself communicating with a difference. Pan-Dimensional Solutions helps you do this. Whether live spectator events, taped broadcasts, or real-time audience-engaging programs, you can benefit immediately from the tools Pan-Dimensional Solutions will share with you. Do you want to make a difference? Contact us at pandimensional.com.